There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Ayim, and I'm the host for the leadership platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters. Hello. Welcome back to the leadership platform. My name is Ayim, and I'm excited to be with you once again. We missed you last week, but we had good company on LIVE2LEAD. And so this evening, it is our pleasure to come your way. For those of you who were not able to join LIVE2LEAD, we want to just give you a taste of what happened on LIVE2LEAD. And for those of you who join LIVE2LEAD and you are connecting, we would encourage you to share your experience on LIVE2LEAD, and so that we will share it. This evening, we're going to have a very, very simple assignment. We have 3 people who participated in LIVE2LEAD who have graciously agreed to be on the platform. They are leaders in their own right, great minds who participated in LIVE2LEAD, and they're going to just share their learnings and what they pick from LIVE2LEAD and what they are going to apply in LIVE2LEAD and the impact LIVE2LEAD has made to them. And we're going to do this for those of you who didn't participate, but you are not going to get the meat of the event. LIVE2LEAD is going to be rebroadcast, so we're just going to give you the taste of it so that you can feel that you have to be there. And so we're going to have these ladies and gentlemen with us share their experiences. So if you're new on the leadership platform today, please go ahead, whether you are joining on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we would announce you to the world. We are always happy to have you because you have chosen to spend part of your weekend with us, and that is a great pleasure. So please go ahead, introduce yourself. We are going to be together for 1.5 hours. I'm just going to introduce the subject, and I'm going to introduce our guests who are going to discuss their experience on LIVE2LEAD. We are privileged to have Sarah also with us this evening. So Sarah and I will interact with our guests, 3 of them. So you are welcome. I can see Douglas Amwatin from Tema is here. I have Consta Natural Ghana. Okay, so it's Consta Natural is here. George Akpable is here, is online joining us from the US. Carissa from Carissa Foundation, happy to be here. Pakwesi Achampon, I know he's joining us from Rwanda. Pakwesi, you are very welcome from Rwanda. So if you're connecting, we know there's so many of you who don't normally introduce yourself, but I will be happy if you do so that we can announce you to the world. But if you don't, no worry, we know you are there. Just enjoy the show and learn. David Sampson is also here from Tema. So you are all very welcome. Now, this evening I have three great minds who were part of Live to Lead. Now, as you all know, we announced to you that we are going to have Live to Lead, and we did have Live to Lead. It was an amazing day on October 8th. And we had great minds speaking to us, great achievers speaking to us. We had John C. Maxwell himself spoke twice and ended with an emotional prayer, which touched a lot of people. We also had Jamie Lima, who spoke to us also, and we're going to learn what they said, a bit of it. We're not going to tell you everything. We don't want you to not come and experience it. So you have to. We had Valerie Burton, who spoke to us about resilience, and Jamie Lima spoke to us about how to become unstoppable and told her story, very moving story of how she started from nowhere, underestimated, and all the people rejected him. And at the end, one of the persons who rejected her became a worker for her. And it's amazing. And in fact, one of the companies that rejected her eventually bought her company, and she became CEO. Very interesting story. Great learnings from there. Valerie discussed resilience, very important. And Jeff Henderson discussed the need for us to stand for something, And we also had Ed Milet, whose presentation so many people are talking about. I'm not going to drink the soup from the fufu. But before these wonderful speakers came, we had a very interesting exchange with Mr. Edward Ifa of Fidelity fame. He's the founder, and he shared his story, how Fidelity was built, where he started from, and the great lessons that he also shared with us. So without taking too much of your time, I'm just going to introduce the speakers, the panelists briefly, and then we'll bring them on board, and each one of them will have like 5 minutes or so to share with us. So thank you very much. Now I have on the panel, the first person that I would introduce is Audrey. Miss Audrey Sewa Bonsu is a pharmacist, and she has a very interesting background. I wanted to read, but I will leave her to share with us as we go along. She will share with us her story of all the things she's been doing with her life. And so I don't want to take that from her. I want her to tell us herself. And we also have Emma. Emma is the head of HR for UBA Bank. She will also tell us a bit about themselves. When I read through her short resume, I found something interesting that I didn't know. Maybe she will share that with us as we go along. Then we have also Gerard Kufuku, who is going to also share with us. He is with the United Nations Institute for Natural Resources, a researcher and academician, and great brain. I would encourage them to share their stories with us. Now, Emma is representing also UBA because UBA had a big number of people. So we'll give her more time because she's going to share also the feedback that she got from several people with us. So with that, I would just like to show all of them to show their faces quickly. And Sarah is also here. Then we will start with, okay, so that is Audrey, and that is Gerard, that is Sarah, you know already, and that is Emma in the white. Okay, so these are the ladies and gentlemen. He's very lucky to be among all the ladies, so I'll try to see if I can share all right with him. And so we will start with Audrey, and Audrey will share with us. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, how you're making contribution to our country and to the world, and then how you joined LIVE2LEAD and what you learned from LIVE2LEAD, what you apply. Who was your favorite speaker? Let's share with us, Audrey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Good evening, everybody. It's such a privilege to be here this evening, and I do not take it for granted. Once again, I'm excited to be here to be part of this leadership program. Thank you, Samuel, for introducing LIVE2LEAD to me. And thank you, Auntie Cynthia. She's a colleague pharmacist. That's how I met Coach Samuel. I want to say thank you. I want to really express that gratitude because I found out a bit late, a few weeks to time. And because I read John C. Maxwell personally, I jumped onto it because I was excited to want to hear him in person, and then all the speakers as well. LIVE2LEAD. Okay, so let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Audrey Sawabunsu. I'm a registered pharmacist. That's Samuel said earlier. I have been practicing for almost a decade now. How should I put it? My focus or my experience has been more into community pharmacy. That's pharmaceutical retailing. I've been managing retail chains in the past, and I've worked with companies such as NS Chemist, Equity Pharmacy, Unicom Chemist, and I've been doing corporate for about 6 to 7 years, and I decided to come out to start something on my own. So I run a consultancy where I help pharmacies that are young, new, upcoming pharmacies that are owned by non-pharmacists to offer the expertise advice. I also have a bit of knowledge into research, drug safety, and then a bit of regulatory affairs. I love to learn. I believe in lifelong learning. And so a bit into research and academia. And somebody will say that in Africa, you can't survive without buying and selling. So I do a bit of that, more into the health products, not just pharmaceutical drugs, but anything in relation to health, diagnostics, cosmetics, but everything that would improve the health of the person. And recently I moved a bit. No, I didn't move. I've added on mentorship because I've always believed that we need mentors in our lives to lead and direct us. I personally had a struggling time because I didn't have mentors. And so I told myself that I don't want my younger generation to go through such an experience. So at the least opportunity, I would want to share. And I've gotten the support of colleague pharmacists, senior colleague pharmacists that have been very supportive. And we had our maiden event, and we'll be having subsequent events where we just share knowledge and experiences and transfer wisdom to our younger pharmacists. The response has been amazing, and I'm gradually even developing more interest to give back, to see people, especially in for my industry, pharmacists, not make some mistakes that I made. So I think that's a brief overview of me. So let me get into LIVE2LEAD. Thank you once again, Farm Cynthia Oforiata, and thank you, Coach Samuel Ayim, for introducing LIVE2LEAD to me. It was an how should I put it? An amazing event, power packed. I enjoyed every bit of it, and for me, it was power packed because it had different speakers that spoke to different aspects of our lives, especially with regards to leadership and in life in general. There were many nuggets that I took home, but two speakers, I've decided to just relegate to just two speakers. Two speakers that stood out for me were one, Mr. Ifa of Fidelity Bank, and Jamie Ken Lima of It Cosmetics. So for me, I would say Mr. Ifa because one, he was local, and I mean, it resonated with me. I mean, being a local speaker, at least it felt like I was getting information from somebody that was homebred, and I could easily relate to. The Q&A style we used for him was very amazing because it helped navigate the questions and the answers towards, the solid parts, the aspects that I would say we needed to hear, and it was more structured. So I would say that for me, I had 3 take homes with regards to Mr. Ifa's presentations or submissions from his Q&A session. That life requires everything in terms of spirituality, mental, and then physical. When I say physical, more like action is supposed to be action or goal oriented. So there was prayer. He talked about praying. He talked about exercising. He talked about studying. He talked about the fact that you should have clear vision before you embark on anything. He talked about the fact that we should have personal and professional values, because when it gets to a certain point in time within your professional or personal life, there will be a need to cross a certain barrier. But then there's the values and the vision that you had right from the beginning is what helps you stay on track. Number 2, I also learned from him that in business, you need to identify the gaps in the market. He shared his personal story where when he came back from studying from the United Kingdom and wanted to go into banking, he noticed that most of the banks were into standard banking and not investment banking. So he offered to be part to offer that service of the investment banking, and that is how he was able to make money, and then to solidify Fidelity, and then now move it to, I mean, of course, other aspects as well. But then that for me hits it. I'm like, okay, at least he started by finding what can I do to helping, and then now he took it to the various aspects that he does now. And number 3, it was think home, think Ghana. He got the opportunity. He was doing very well in the United States, but he wanted to come back. He came back home to want to give back. And that was like, for me, was a wow. I'm like, wow, how many people would want to come back when they are established in a developed country or in an established environment? And so I always will tell myself, no matter what, I would always want to find an opportunity to bring back the experience to help us get to wherever they are. And so these were the 3 takeaways from Mr. Ifa of Fidelity Bank for me. The second one was Miss, I don't know I think she's Mrs. She's married, yes. Jamie Ken Lima of It Cosmetics. Her story was so inspiring. For me personally, I loved her presentation because it felt very authentic. And when people share their personal stories, it gets very inspiring, and then it moves you emotionally. And so for me personally, I was very moved emotionally, and I was like, wow, people don't always tell us the story behind the glory. They just share the glory and I had this is what happened, and I mean, they don't go into the core. But listening to Jamie, she articulated it, details as to the struggles she went through before we are seeing It Cosmetics, she being on cover magazines, she being all over, and she becoming that successful. And it got me, I even got teary at a point. I was like, wow, I think that I would have given up if I were her. And so from her, I took 3 takeaway homes as well. And the first one was that the challenges, the struggles, the naysaying, everything is so normal, and it's part of the success journey. So whenever we hear or we experience that, it doesn't mean no. So from there, I listened. Thank you once again, someone, because we got the opportunity to listen again. So Saturday, for the next 3 days that I had access to it, I made sure that every day I listened to at least 2 speakers, and so that I could max out all the nuggets they could give us. And as I was listening to Jamie again, now the no came to me as new opportunities. The end no meant new opportunities. So I said, okay, moving forward, when I hear a no, I'm saying that it's new opportunities. And she talked about the fact that we need to we shouldn't shy away to talk about what the problems and the challenges we went through, because as you talk about it, it ministers to somebody. Number two, I noticed she talked about there was a knowing in her, that's a gut in her, even though there was a no outside. And so in life, it is what is our focus. It is what you focus on, that is what is important. She decided not to focus on the exterior nose, but to focus on the interior gut knowing feeling. So I said, wow, okay, that is what I am going to be now focusing on, my inner gut feeling as against the no externally. And number three, persistence, grit is such an essential element in success or in fulfilling our potential or our destinies. And she clearly articulated this, saying that rejection after rejection after rejection, but she kept moving on. And if you listen to how she articulated it and the details, I don't think this was over a year. I think this was over years, but she just knew that this was it for her. So it comes back to joining or marrying what Mr. Ifa said. If you have a clear vision, you just keep focusing on it and just keep hitting it. She said she knew that this would help. So that means she identified a market, a gap in the market. She knew that this was going to, help people to be able to, well, I should be rounding up. I'm rounding up. I'm rounding up.
No, you are good. Go ahead.
And so that these are really, really my takeaways. And I mean, everyone spoke to me in different ways, but for me to just pick two, I said these two nailed it for me. And so these are my little take homes. I'll see once again, and that I'm very excited to have been able to share this with you. And I hope that as it inspired me, it will equally inspire you as well. Thank you.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Thank you so much. And for those of you who were not there, we're talking about making a difference and leaving a legacy. And all these ideas were shared about how Edward made a difference, created a bank, and left a legacy for all of us to work. And Jamie also, all the ideas. Thank you so much, Audrey, for those wonderful. In fact, I've learned more from you even than I learned from Jamie. The way your no, the interpretation of no, new opportunities, very, very creative and innovative, and I love that. I'm going to adopt that one too. If anybody says no, I say it's new opportunities. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm sure if Jamie knew this, you would have added it to her presentation. Thank you. So we'll move on to, we'll come back, and if we have some time, we'll ask some more questions, but we'll go to Emma. And Emma is the head of HR for UBA Bank, and she brought more people into the room than any other organization. This year they beat Absa Bank to it, but we will see who wins next year. But Emma, thank you so much, you and UBA, your bosses, for bringing so many people to the bank. I'm sure they're going to benefit. So Emma, you will tell us a bit more about yourself, and then you will share with us your personal experience and also share some of the feedback you're getting from your over 90 people that you brought into the room. And we thank you for that. So Emma, you are welcome to the leadership platform.
Thank you very, very much. And it's good evening. It's a great honor and privilege to be with you this evening. And thank you, CTL Africa. Thank you, Mr. Ayim. My full name is Jocelyn Emma Kun. I always say that my friends call me Emma. So a little bit about me. Okay, so I hold a first and then second degree in human resource management. And I also have a postgraduate diploma in organization development and an MA in organization development. I'm the head of human resource, as Mr. Ayim said, and I've worked in UBA for almost close to 10 years, 9.7 years to be precise. During the course, I have held various roles in addition to my role as the head of human resources, country head of resources, as well as human resource business partner for West Africa Anglophone. Before joining UBA, I was the head of HR for Bank of Africa, Amal Bank, and then Bank of Africa. And then also I worked with NS Chemist. I was also the head of human resources for NS Chemist. I was actually their first head of human resources. And before then, I was at Intercity STC Coaches, where I also worked in the HR department and then also in the traffic department. I'm married and I have 2 children. I'm also a Methodist lay preacher. That is why Mr. Ayim said there's something he didn't know about me. So that is full disclosure. So when you use the Johari window, at least I have removed a part of me so that you know a little bit more about me. And in terms of Live to Lead, I was fortunate enough to have participated in last year's own, and it was great and wonderful. And this year, when the opportunity came, we decided that instead of restricting it to a few people, we'll actually make sure that we give it to as many of our staff as we can. The reason being that we know that as an organization, the leaders at every level actually determine the success of the strategy. So this year, our focus had been to actually really develop our leaders, and they had gone through various trainings. And when the Live to Lead 2021 came up, and having the experience that we had last year, we felt that it was a great opportunity because the staff would have, I'll say more like an epiphany moment, a revelation going through the process. And when I'm about to end, I'll give you some of the feedback that we received from them. So yes, we did sponsor quite a large number. We thank the organization UBA and management and for giving us that approval for us to do that sponsorship. And I know that it's already started in shaping the way we do things. Now, in terms of what my major takeaways, I couldn't actually restrict it to 1 or 2 people. I had to take everybody because it was so wonderful. Now, when I look at John Maxwell, he talked about leaving a legacy, and it's through people. And one thing he said that really came home is that right always wins, but it does not win on a Friday. So it reinforced for me the need to live truth, even when it will not give you immediate returns. And sometimes it's difficult for people because you don't get the returns immediately. And he also talked about, this is how I phrased it. So you can change your bad story to a better story. It's really up to you. And Jeff Henderson, he said, and I had never really thought about it, but when he said it, it made a lot of sense. He said that we are all in the business of selling happiness. So this really gave me a really good rethink. So it made me know that wherever we are, in whatever we're doing, we're selling happiness. And that happiness should be based on the truth. And he also said that the best gift that you can give to your community and organization is to give an inspired you. So it means that every day when I go to work, every day I have to be an inspiration so that I can give off my best to the bank. And then he said that being the best in the world and the best for the world and making your life count, so that every day is important. We have to really make sure that every day something is done. And Jamie Kanlima, she said a lot of things. But one of the things that really, really hit home to me is that learning to cheer for yourself, because you only get cheered by others when you are successful. And that's one thing that we often don't do, is not cheering for ourselves, because we realize that everybody is saying, "No, you didn't do this well," but you've got to give yourself a pat on the back. And Ed Milet, he was wonderful. He said that we have to be intentional, especially when he was telling the story of his son. And when he got his son focused on intentional, he realized that the son who had never won a golf game was now excelling. And he said that you have to strategize about everything because there is accountability. So we've got to realize that everything that we do, there is accountability. Then he talked about the power of one more away from success, and about us persevering and keeping and being intentional about it. Valerie Burton, she talked about self-coaching, how to coach yourself, how to motivate yourself, how to pull yourself out of a place. And even when things are not going the way you want, how to rethink. And she said something. She said, knowing that the definition of success changes with each stage of your life, and that's okay. Because at every stage of your life, success is different. Because, for instance, if when you finish school, your success is you have to get a very good job. And then the next success story is that you are promoted along the line, as well as other social changes that should happen in your life. And even in the social changes, you realize that there are different things that you also expect in your life. And then she said something, and she said, "Be still and know that I am God." And then one of the things that she also said is that learning to accept when things don't go as planned and sacrificing for others, because it makes it easier to live with yourself. And she gave the story of how she had to sacrifice for her mother. And she was so happy that, thinking back, if she hadn't had done that, she wouldn't have known what would have happened. And then, in summary, one of the things that she imparted to me is that speaking positively into the lives of other people, because it transforms their lives and they always remember you for it. So in terms of applying, it's everything. And in my little phrase, I'll say that life is a juggling act, and you need a repertoire of skills. And in organization development, we always say that you need your toolbox. So wherever you go, you have to have the tools ready to do your diagnosis. So life is a juggling act, and you need that repertoire of skills to be able to stay on the game. And I'm using everything that I've learned on the LIVE2LEAD 2021, because each statement was so powerful that I just can't, let's say this one is better or not. Now, what I'll say to other people from what I learned, and maybe a little bit about me, is that once I asked myself, so many years ago, I think over 20 years ago, I asked myself that, did I want to exist or I want to be remembered? And I said, I want to be remembered. And as such, I purposed to be deliberate about everything that I did. So I'll say that be purposeful in what you do. And you have to live right and know that it will not immediately be appreciated, but your legacy will live longer. I have places that I've worked in. Sometimes I have people coming to me and, telling me, "Oh, you did this and you did this and we benefited from this." And sometimes I can't even remember, but they remember. And then leave a part of yourself in people by helping them to discover their potential. They'll always remember you. Sometimes when you are doing it, they will not appreciate you. Maybe they think you're hitting hard at them. But I have experienced this so many times when the people came back to tell me that, it's this thing and this that you told me that made me do things differently, and I'm better for it and I'm happier for it. And never give up on your dreams. Take it one day at a time. I remember when I started my OD program, I started in 2009, and it has been challenging, so challenging. And because you have to combine it with work and everything. And I remember after 6 years, I got my postgraduate diploma, which I should have taken 2 years. And then I got my MA this year, which should have actually combined with the PGD. I should have done it in like 3 years. And persistence, and it worked, and I'm happier for it. It took longer, but I'm still happier for it. And then be willing for your life to be interrupted by unforeseen circumstances. I always have a plan B, because I realize that plan A never works. And do what is right. You'll never regret. And always remember the power of one more. Perseverance. You need to persevere. You need to sometimes, as Ms. Zefa said, stay up late, do that sacrificing. Because if you don't do it, that customer will not get their happiness. You will not get that self-satisfaction. And one last thing I'll say is that just do it now, because you can't wait for tomorrow. There's too much to be done today to wait for tomorrow. And tomorrow really never comes. So it's always tomorrow. So, Ayim, I've come to the end of my presentation. If there are any questions, please.
All right. Thank you so very much. And I'm even learning more and more than I learned on October 8th. This is amazing and amazing. But I'm not going to comment on that. One of the things I would just ask is, you promised to share with us some of the feedback you got from your members. Can you just mention a few?
Yes. The day that we ended the program, I had one staff call me and said, wow, this is exciting. This is transformation. I mean, he was over the moon. And Saturday morning, around 7 o'clock, my phone was ringing. I said, who could this be? It was another staff who said, you know what, he had actually been, undergoing coaching from a John Maxwell certified coach. And he was actually recommended to actually participate in LIVE2LEAD 2021. And he's part of our supervisors. So he was enrolled on the program. And he said he's so blessed that the bank paid for him, and what he learned, I mean, he just couldn't. And the general feedback has been, it had been amazing. And in terms of the takeaways, and we believe that the learnings that they've taken, and some of the things that, because what happened was, we've done a lot of leadership training, but I knew that the John Maxwell LIVE2LEAD gives you more or less a feeling of experiencing mentoring from people who were where we are and who have achieved it. So you get that real life experience instead of, when you go for the normal leadership training where they give you theories and all that, and they may seem a bit abstract. But this one is like, if you take Jamie Kanlima, what she went through to build her team, and how she, even the power of forgiveness. A person who turned her down, told her it wasn't good enough, she had that humility to even bring that person on board. So they had that feeling. And it's not going to be the end for us in the bank. We are going to still pursue, because leaders are very key in everything that we do. And if we have the right mindset and the right attitude, there's so much that the team can do, and the team actually looks up to you. So when that transformation happens to them, we know that then the team will also excel. So that's the feedback I'll give now.
God, that's really, really, really good. Thank you so much. I think that we have achieved our purpose, and we're hoping that we'll multiply talk to your other HR colleagues and tell them what you're getting. This one is not trade secret. Don't keep it to yourself. Thank you so much, Prima. All right. So we will now move to the gentleman, Mr. Gerard Kufuku. He will tell us about himself a bit, and he would also share with us his learning. Then after that, we bring Sarah to also maybe ask them some questions or share her own thoughts, and then we'll go on. Gerard, my brother, thank you for being here. You are welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much, Mr. Yeah. Let me deal with the technology first before
Okay.
I start talking. Just trying to share my screen.
Good.
Very important. I don't know whether you've seen anything. Are you seeing anything?
Not yet, but I guess it's coming
Not
up.
yet. Okay.
Voila. Okay. You're almost there.
Is it there?
Yep. We can see something. Not yet seeing your slide, but we can see your screen.
Okay. So I think that I got it wrong. Sorry. Let me try it again.
Yeah.
Share screen.
Choose
window.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now it should work.
Yeah. Voila. Okay.
Good. So
yes,
I tried to.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Ayim and the CTL team. You've been doing a great job. I've been participating in the leadership platform, and I think that the LIVE2LEAD last 2 weeks was a great one. Personally, it was my first time joining, so I actually learned a lot, and I'm privileged that you gave me the opportunity to also come and share some of my experiences. About myself, my name is Gerald. I have a background in geomatics, so I have an engineering background, but I moved quickly into research. I have a doctoral degree in natural sciences, and I've been in the international research space for about 15 years, having started with water resource management and then went into land management, and now I try to combine both. I work for the United Nations University, which is the Institute for Natural Resources in Africa. And I don't deal with clients as bankers deal with or as other entrepreneurs deal with. My clients are normally the end beneficiaries that are communities that are benefiting from the research that we're doing. But with respect to leadership, it is more with regards to project management. You have objectives within a project, and as a project leader, you'd have to work with the different stakeholders, with policymakers, with entrepreneurs, with the business community, with the financial community, to be able to arrive at the results of the project. So that is where I am actually coming from, doing that multi-stakeholder, consultation, and then moving towards the objectives of a project. So that is my background. It's a great privilege to share some few takeaways from LIVE2LEAD. I'm going to talk about 3 things. As Emma said, I am not actually picking any particular speaker. I'm just looking at things, across what all the speakers said, and I'm actually even using some of the afternoon sessions, that is the on-demand afternoon sessions, to actually come up with these. But then at the last slide, I'll talk briefly about who I thought was my best speaker. So the first lesson, or the first takeaway lesson: leadership is all about people. Leadership is all about people. And I think that John Maxwell started this very, very well, about the fact that it is people who will carry your legacy. It is about investing in others to make them better. And I put this picture of the book, which is talking about the 8 paradoxes of great leadership, over here, because I think this whole concept of investing in people, in making them better, is perhaps the overarching paradox. Because how do you invest in others and yet become great? And the solution is that the success of a leader, or the greatness of a leader, is inextricably linked to the success of his or her people. And so whether you are the CEO who is running a big company, whether you are a father in the house, whether you are a church, a pastor, a preacher in the church, it is the people you are dealing with that will measure, how successful that you are. So although investing in people would seem as if you are actually giving yourself away and perhaps allowing them to become greater than you, you are actually becoming greater as those people become great. And Henderson actually talked about the four concept that whatever you do, and it should be for the good of others. And so I think this is a great takeaway lesson for me, because it let me understand that whether I'm going to be a great leader, whether I'm going to be successful at leadership, is to think about how to improve others. And John Maxwell, mentioned how one of his staff has actually not moved, but actually grown because of all the investment that he has put into him. So the first for me is that leadership is all about people. And all that we're doing, even if not in a formal leadership position, even in self-position, we need to think about those around us. A bit of good to others would be very, very great. So that's the first takeaway lesson. The second one is that biblical principles to leadership are timeless. And I take this from Joel Mambi's talk on love works. At a point that many people are turning away from the Bible, and they think that the Bible is a bit too soft, and people are even doubting its efficacy. It turns out that the Bible has got the most timeless principles for successful leadership. And the whole concept of love, which Joel Mambi actually summarizes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 to 7, he summarizes into about 7 principles. And for me, there are 3 that are very, very key that I want to share with you. The first one is about truthfulness. And truthfulness for the leader is very key, because there are sometimes many leaders set the bar for those they are leading, but not themselves. It's as if the leader is almost exempt from being honest or being truthful with the people they are leading. Sometimes the concept of being smart actually comes in, and that is not how we're going to be successful at leadership. So the concept of being truthful, being honest, and actually telling those you are leading the true picture, painting the right picture, the correct picture, is very, very important. And this is actually a trait of love. And love actually works. And we actually saw how it was demonstrated through Joe Mambe's leadership, when he moved from a place where it was a very, very hostile environment, a place where nobody cares about anybody, to a place where these concepts or these principles were tested out and were found to be true. And I think we also see this around us, where many people adopt this concept of truthfulness. Sometimes you might suffer a little bit, but in the end, your legacy actually stays on, because you build everything that you do on truthfulness. The second one that I want to talk about is unselfish, that is being unselfish. And I think this actually goes back to the first takeaway principle, that it's all about people. It's not about me being the best CEO in this company, but the best CEO for the people in this company, or for whoever we are serving. It is not about me. It's about you. And I think that it is Henderson who talked about the marketing concept that is always saying, look at me. But then you turn it around and they say, look at you. You put the attention on others. And the biblical principle is that as you put the attention on others, you actually eventually get all the attention, because you thought of others first. Do unto others what you would like them to do unto you. And the third one is forgiving. And there's actually one of these paradoxes that it's talking about very high standards but gracious forgiveness. So as a leader, you might have very high standards and there's no need to compromise on those standards. But whenever people falter, we need to remember the concept of forgiving. Of course, there should always be some disciplinary action, but even in that disciplinary action, it should be overlain by forgiveness. And so these, for me, are the three key principles that underline great leadership. And the third point, I said that these are things that we consider as simple and not part. And we think that they're too soft in the Bible, but they form the very foundation of true and great leadership. So the second principle is that, or the second takeaway lesson is that biblical principles to leadership are timeless. The third and the last one, which I think Emma has mentioned, is the power of one more. And I think that almost everybody who has spoken has spoken about Ed Milet. And I think what is so great about this, all these talks that we actually had from Jeff Henderson to Lima, to Ed, and even from Maxwell, those life stories, the real life stories that actually they use to exemplify the kind of lessons that they want to put across. And so the first point that I say is the power of trying one more time after several failed attempts. And we have examples, Lima's examples, that she started and she failed a couple of times, but she actually moved one step at a time. And it's very, very important that even as young people who are aspiring to become great leaders, we might fail, we might falter, but we need to take one step at a time. One more is very, very important. But on the reverse side is the power of giving one more chance to that employee who may have failed a couple of times. And there are sometimes, going back to that paradox of setting very high standards, but having gracious forgiveness, is that we have very high standards, we don't want to compromise it, and we crush anybody who actually falls short of that. And great leadership would mean giving people one more chance, investing in them, helping them to actually overcome whatever is causing them to falter. So it's not only about you giving yourself one more, but also giving others one more chance. And then the third one is that great leaders learn from their mistakes and bounce back stronger. But more importantly, they lift up those who are down. And you're not going to be a great leader because you have the strength to lift yourself up, and then you leave all your other people who are down to be down, because you're not going to be a great leader. A great leader is one who is able to pick himself up, and he's able to help others to also come up. That is the selfless attitude. That is the concept of love. That is the concept of being there for the people. So the third takeaway lesson is the power of one more. So, favorite speaker, I really can't point out. I think that when we're in school, normally when you are counting and there's one student who is very good in class, you would actually count him out. So perhaps I'll count out John Maxwell. But I think that Ed Milet did a great job. He actually, everything that he said was around stories. And I think it's a point that he made, that when you talk to people, they forget. But when you give them the stories, they actually remember. So I think that he did a great job. But the afternoon on-demand sessions were also very, very great. And you see that two of my lessons are actually coming from there, from Elmore and from Mambi. So these are my short lessons that I want to share. I hope I'm still on, Mr. Sam.
Very much on, and thank you so much. Thank you, Gerard. This is really very, very good, and we are learning so much from the three of you. And I want to now bring Sarah. Sarah, all the way from. You're welcome. Let's see what you have to say about our speakers and whether you have some questions for them.
What I want to say is that, did we have another LIVE2LEAD session or what?
That is really amazing.
It's really amazing with the nuggets that are dropping from people who participated in the Leave to Lead. This
Yes.
is 3 great speakers that we have. They were participants, but now they are our Leave to Lead, post Leave to Lead session that we are having. And those of you on the call, before I start asking our speakers questions, those who did not participate, let us see what you think. Do you want to participate and get some of these nuggets also? Let's see in the chat.
And that's, Sarah, you are very right, because these 3 people have shared with us in the last, just let's say 40 minutes, just what they learned. And this is we had a whole day event, and because we had more time, we had a whole day event. And after our event, there were 3 more speakers. And if you participated, you had on your portal the other speakers who were speaking in Atlanta that were not there. So we had double portion. We had our own breakout, and then on your portal you also had the other speakers in Atlanta who were in their breakout. So those of you who were not there, look, this is great, but this is the tip of the iceberg. Or you say what?
Exactly, it's the tip of the iceberg, and precisely as Gerald shared, that when you start something in the beginning, you may fail, and this is what has been our experience, Sam.
Yes.
When we started Leave to Lead so many years ago, we did not have so much participation, but look, we kept at it, and this is the result, that we are now able to impact so many people. So I'm really grateful that we persisted, and thanks to you, Sam. I just want to acknowledge you for that. So our leaders who are on the call with us, let us know whether, yes, you have shared your experiences with us, but the value that you got out of it, the amount that you paid, was it the right amount, or did we just give you a bonus and free lesson, a leadership, practical, hands-on opportunity for you to grow your leadership and to impact the people around you? So let's bring our speakers on, and then whilst they're coming on, I think we will ask the participants, those who are watching us, to drop their comments and their questions in the comments box so that we can read it out.
All right. So thank you so much, Sarah. Let me quickly take a few of the comments coming up. Okay. Davison came from Tema. Willie Glay, glad to be here. Christopher Gavo from the University of Ghana. I think we saw Consta was here. He's the CEO of Naturals, of Consta Naturals. She's honored to be here. Kwesia Sari, greetings to you, as the whole family is enjoying this great meeting. So, Ebenezer Tufo, all the way from Abuja, is here. Na Latele from Adrigano is here. Frederick Bedu is here. Good evening. Ebenezer Niyama is also here. Prince Awoche Papo is here. From Goldfields Ghana Limited. Goldfields, you're number 1. Thank you so much. Also, Dorothy Boche Dankwa. Dorothy is from Community 5. Great. There was one question. Kwame JB, all the way from the United Kingdom, he says self-coaching, very important skill. The point that Emma made. All right. I'm seeing Emmanuel Wallendorf. It was an eye-opening. Yes, he was there. It was an awesome event. So that's what Emmanuel is saying. He was in the room. Doris Arthur, I'm live in Accra. Thanks. And Hajia Alima, all the way from Tamale. All right. So those are the people who have announced themselves. I don't see any questions, Sarah. So I don't know if you have any questions for our dear speakers. Is Gerard disappeared?
Okay, so whilst we're waiting for Gerald to come on, Prophecy Achampo says, I got my money's worth. My take home was from Jeff Henderson, was your dream vision must not necessarily be well written, it must be well lived. Thank you so much. And I remember when we were doing the dry run, Audrey did say something, saying that, Audrey, I won't say it. What did you say about about the problem? Yes, I just want you to share that with us.
Okay, I can't remember it verbatim, but I remember saying that this was extreme value for money. I think it was we actually underpaid for the value we received, because especially when we had access to this for a couple of days plus the bonus videos as well. And so I said, hey, all this for this amount, wow. And so then it was extreme value for the amount we paid. And I would entreat our participants that they shouldn't miss this opportunity when it comes again next time.
Thank you, Audrey. And Emma also did mention the fact that the feedback she got was that people really had a hands-on. It was really practical. It was not theory. This is something that they can just take back on Friday to the office and Monday start implementing. And that is what we were all about, that you come to LIVE2LEAD. When you go back on Monday morning, you start implementing what you have learned. Okay, so great. I just love the way that Gerald gave us also his points and summarized even from the other speakers. Gerald, thank you. Emma, thank you. Audrey, thank you.
All right, so Emmanuel is asking a question, and I'm going to throw it to all our panelists.
Hello, Mr. Ayim, are we on?
Yes, you are on. We can see you all very beautiful. So Emmanuel Wulo says, I have a follow-up question. Where does vulnerability play out in all of this as a leader? That you don't shy away from your weakness, but yet appear to the team as an unquestionable leader. So where does vulnerability play out in all this as a leader? That you don't shy away from your weakness, but appear to the team as an unquestionable leader. Now, what did you guys get from that? I mean, I want to start with who will start? Emma, what do you say to that question about vulnerability, and what did you learn from all the speakers? How authentic were they? Were they vulnerable? And how does vulnerability play out? Because a lot of the time, we want a leader to look like some god who doesn't suffer any pains, who doesn't suffer any weakness, any problem. What do you think, Emma?
Okay, thank you. Before I go to what from the takeaway from the presenters from LIVE2LEAD 2021, I like to speak about myself. And one of the things is that as a leader, you must know yourself very well, and you must know your weakness. And you must, in that knowing yourself and knowing your weakness, you must constantly work at it. And you must not be afraid to actually disclose it to your team, because then they know that you are also a vulnerable person, because your team is the one that makes you strong. And once your team knows your vulnerability and they're on board with you, they will help you in those areas that you are most vulnerable. So as a leader, you have to be authentic. And one of the things that I remember just about 2 months ago, I did a predictive index assessment of myself, and it gave me a report. And when I read it, I also gave it to my team members for them to look and see whether the areas that I fall short, whether that is me. And they said, yes, it's me. So it's something that you work on. And I believe that from the speakers from LIVE2LEAD, they all showed us that they were authentic leaders. Because if you look at Ed Milet, he said that he's not that brilliant, but there's only one thing that he's very good at, and which he's been doing. And he mentioned that it's one person that inspired him, and his father. And if you look, his father, he said, was an alcoholic. He tried severally to get well, and he tried one more, and he actually got well, and he got better. And if you look at all the stories, if you look at Jamie Lima, it was a struggle. So in leadership, it's a struggle, but you have to be authentic. You have to be you. And the thing is that you also have to, your team members need to know that you are in for them for the whole journey. Because when they know that you are in for them for the whole journey, they will also be with you through the journey in the highs and the lows. You'll be surprised at what they will do. When something is bad, they will come to you and tell you that, you know what, this is how we should do it. They would rather even give you the insight on how you should do it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. And you are absolutely right. Throughout all the speakers, you can see, I mean, at a point, even John was more or less like crying. I mean, he's so down, showing his humanity. Valerie talks about her story about, you know, getting divorced and the challenges she had to go through. I mean, and things like she wanted to go wee-wee somewhere and saw the bull was trying to, and she had to run away. That, all that shows the humanity of the leader. We are all human. And if your people feel that you're human, they'll be there to support you. Anybody wants to comment on that? Gerard or Audrey?
Yeah, let me just say that we have had leaders who have failed before. And you don't fail. I mean, if you are perfect, you don't fail. And there are obviously weaknesses on people's side that make them fail. And so you don't run to the people you're leading and start crying and say that, oh, you know, I'm very weak in this area. I don't think that is the approach, because sometimes they also look up to you. But I think you need to be truthful to yourself, and you know which areas I am strong and which areas I'm weak. I have been learning about temperaments and how that play a role in our personality and even in our work. And each temperament has got its positive side and its negative side. And as a leader, you need to accept that this is my negative side. You need to work on it, but you also need to work with your team so that they actually complement that weak side of yourself, so that the team actually, you know, gels together, and then you achieve your results. Thanks.
Great. Audrey?
No, I think that Emma and Gerard have really nailed it, and you, Samuel, as well. It's true. It's not, I don't think it's vulnerability. I still see it as a bit of strength, where you are being authentic and then letting the others, I mean, your team, know that this is the human part of me. So pardon me if it's being expressed once in a while. But then once you know yourself, you would make sure that you actively work on that weakness to ensure that if it's, let's say, 0 or 1, you can push up to at least 4 or 5. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And Ebenezer says that his takeaway from all the speakers have been enormous. I enjoyed this year's Live to Lead than previous ones. Also, it's a regular there. But I tell you, every year is another level, especially after watching the whole show once more. I am now in a position to actually change my world. A big thank you to CTL Africa. And Rose Oda is saying, I can see that I have really missed an opportunity. Rose, the opportunity is there. We're going to have a rebroadcast on November 19th. And so just watch the space, November 19th and January 22nd. And you also have a period to watch. So you missed it, but one more opportunity, as we have learned from around the table, will come your way. Then Emmanuel says, thanks so much for the answers. I am so inspired. I appreciate. Great. So our leaders here are great. All right. So I don't know, Sarah, you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, what I want to say is that I think these leaders that we have on the platform, we have to bring them back on the leadership platform one-on-one so they come, and I'm putting them on the spot. So that leaders will see that we have great leaders also here in Ghana who can also even be speakers on Leave to Lead. So 3 leaders, Audrey, Emma, and Gerald, I'm already lining you up to come onto the leadership platform. Find a date on your calendar and let us know. Okay, one other,
All right.
yeah, I had so many notes. I think I will
Okay.
Leave to Lead.
Go ahead.
I have so many notes, and I really love what Emma, no, it was Audrey. Audrey said, think home, think Ghana. Think home, think Ghana. So my question to everybody on the call is, when you think home, where is home for you? That is what Mr. Effa taught us. Think home, think Ghana. I'm sitting here in Geneva, but I'm thinking of Ghana. That's why every Saturday I am on the leadership platform. That is why I put my money into Leave to Lead, to bring it to people in Ghana. So the question to our viewers, where is home for you, and how are you thinking for Ghana? How you can contribute to our nation? It's a question for all of us. And
Yes,
then,
thank you. So, yes, go ahead.
and then authenticity, the emotion that Jamie brought to Audrey. Audrey said she was moved, she wanted even to cry. And it's the story behind the glory. The story behind the glory. So, leaders, this is what we are all about on the platform. When we bring the leaders to you on the platform, they bring you the story behind the glory, what they are sharing and what they have lived. And that is exactly what Emma shared with us in her way to get her MA recently this year. And we want to say congratulations to her. So Sam, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate. I had some notes, but I'm not going to go through them again because so much has been shared. If I try them, I'm going to dilute this sweet food. So I'm going to end here, and I'm just going to ask each of our panelists to just share their last thought. We want to make a difference, guys. Our continent needs us. Our country needs us. Our churches need us. Our companies need us. We need to make the difference that is required to move us forward. So I want to encourage them. That's why we are here. Our purpose at CTL Africa is just that, so that we can bring this knowledge, we can bring people here, just move us a little bit more. So I'm going to give them the floor to share their last thoughts, but I can see Ken Nana Asante says, good evening, Madam Emma. So Emma, that's for you. He says, great initiative, Mr. Samuel Ayim. Thank you so much. And I think the last I have is from Carissa Foundation, who says, all the leaders looked very real. They did not hide anything. And that is true. You know, it's not a matter of, polishing yourself and making yourself look good, which is fine. You have to look good. But the truth of your life is what is going to inspire other people. So thank you so much. I'm going to go the reverse. I'm going to start with Gerard to share his last thoughts. And then I'll go to Emma, then I'll come to Audrey.
Thank you very much. So in my work, as I said, I've been doing a lot of research, and I publish scientific articles. This is the web that we find ourselves in. In the past 2 or 3 years, I've been working in the entrepreneurial space because I was actually the policy fellow for a big initiative that is called the Ghana Climate Innovation Center, which is actually grooming entrepreneurs. And so I had to deal with these entrepreneurs, deal with the policymakers to see how we can actually shape policy to inure to the benefit of these entrepreneurs. And I found the great need for excellent leadership amongst many of these young entrepreneurs because they're starting fresh. And I could see that there is a great need for stronger leadership on that aspect, because the private sector led growth is going to be actually led by these entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurship ecosystem is really budding in Africa. And on this call, I think that CTL has got a very good mandate and a really huge challenge to actually build up leadership amongst this big ecosystem of entrepreneurs, so that they can actually lead the way to actually take Africa to where we actually need to be. So number one is a big kudos to CTL for what you've been doing, but to also let you know that there's a lot of work ahead, that we need to groom all these people to get to that level of leadership that actually achieves the.
Seems like we are missing.
Yeah.
We're losing Gerard at the end.
Yeah, I guess he'll come back. He'll come back.
All right. So
let's have Emma.
Okay. So let's hear Emma.
One thing I like to say is that for us to make that difference, the difference actually starts with us, because when we change, others too change. So we actually have to, what I do is that I try to live excellently. Taking it from the Bible, it says that be perfect as your Father in heaven too is perfect. So it's something that you seek it on a daily basis, because if you look to the developed countries, and there was a documentary I watched, and it was about the men who built America, and about those 4 men. And you realize that there were people who sacrificed. And so we, as Ms. Ifa came, thought Ghana came and did it. In the organizations that we work in, in UBA, we say excellent service always delivered. Excellent service must be delivered. So excellence is something that we drive, something that we push, something that you live it, you breathe it. When you are serving the customer, you think about excellence. So you give that first class experience. And when you do it constantly, you realize that it actually becomes a practice. And if that change happens in every organization, it happens in every SME, in every microfinance, you realize that we'll get there. And as we also must be ready to serve in our organizations, serve in our communities, give that little extra, give of our time. And as Audrey said, giving back to the young people, because it's very, very important. And I always say that if people didn't allow me to make mistakes and to learn, I wouldn't be here. So I would never have gotten here. There were people who allowed me to make mistakes, and they helped me along the way. And so we must also be willing to allow them to make those mistakes, and to also help them and show them how they can achieve that excellence. We must never lower the standard, but we must be able to help people to live up to the standard. Thank you.
All right, Gerard, you were swallowed up a bit with your internet. You're in your last sentence. You want to conclude what you were saying? We missed the last minute.
No, I think that I had actually ended. I was just actually congratulating CTL for what you're doing, and just to say that we still have a lot of work to do together.
Thank you so much. Now, Audrey, but I'll come back to you. You're going to say something. Just look into the camera and tell the people who didn't attend LIVE2LEAD, what do you tell them? Because we're going to have a rebroadcast. But before then, I want to listen to Audrey's last words.
Great. My colleagues have said it all. And just to top up, let's say put the icing on the cake, I would say that the Bible tells us that we should brighten the corner wherever you are. And I kind of didn't, you would think that's a cliche, but I had a little experience and it told me that wherever you are, once you make a difference, there's a rippling effect. That difference is seen in another person's life, in another person's life. Like, for instance, Madame Teresa didn't say she wanted to become popular. She said, I would want to feed somebody every day. And by doing so, she made that difference and left a legacy. So we shouldn't think too big. For starters, anyone around us, at the opportunity we can give, why not? Let's give of our best, because it ends up leaving an imprint in their lives. And then they also see the need to also, be that better version because of what they've also received. And so my last words will be, let's be the change we want to see, not creating how should I put it, not being super ambitious that we are waiting when we get to a certain position before, but we are all leaders in our individual ways. Whoever we interact with, let's use that opportunity to impact to them and then leave a legacy to them. Thank you.
Sam, you're on mute.
Sorry. So I'm going to go back to each of you to tell our friends out there who didn't participate in Live to Lead. We're going to have a rebroadcast on the 19th. What do you tell them, Gerard?
Well, I think that they need to believe my testimony because this is the first time that I actually participated in. You go to some of these things and it's a packed slides, and it's talking, and it gets a bit boring. And you ask yourself, what am I learning? Live to Lead has a special, a special style because you are learning, but it seems that people are just telling you stories and you are actually learning out of it. From John Maxwell to Henderson to Lima to all the speakers, they actually were talking about themselves, their stories, and bringing out very strong lessons that, you are listening to stories, but you are learning. And at the end of the day, you actually sit down and you try to sip everything in and you see how they actually connect. And so for anyone who did not get the opportunity, I can tell you that it is a fun environment, but it's not only a fun environment, it's a fun environment that you learn a lot about all aspects of leadership. And so I strongly encourage you, for those who are strong on the morality aspect, it's not about Christianity alone, but you see that all the lessons are also well grounded in the Christian religion, but also in morality, which I think that our world really needs. So I will encourage you to join the rebroadcast, and you're going to learn a lot. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gerard. Now, Emma. Thank you, Gerard. Emma, what do you say?
What I want to say is that please join,
especially to other organizations and HR people like you.
Okay. So to my colleagues out there, I'll say that you can't miss it, because as you know, we develop trainings, and a lot of it looks theoretical to the staff, and they find it difficult to actually live it. But Live to Lead brings these wonderful people. And if you look at the fact that these are people that if, let's say, you were to pay actually to listen to them, we probably couldn't afford it. It will break our training budgets. So I encourage you that it's a life experience. And once you do it, it would change your people. And because leaders actually change organizations, they help us mold the culture, they help us to achieve our strategy, because without the people, you can't do anything. And when an employee is engaged, that employee gives off that extra performance, gives us that extra that will actually take us to that place. So I encourage you to take it. And the prize that we actually got, even though I know that as professionals, we always want it cheaper and cheaper, but the price was more than good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emma. Audrey.
Thank you, CTL. Thank you, Samuel. And I always say life is about a lifelong learning, and you can't give what you don't know and what you don't have. So as leaders, I believe we should keep learning. And through CTL, we've gotten one of the number one experts leadership experts, that's John C. Maxwell and his team, to come to us down here in our developing country through CTL. And so this is an opportunity I feel we shouldn't miss. We should take the most advantage of it. At least a rebroadcast is coming. And so get to have that experience that the three of us have had and we've shared with you for yourself. And so that you can also have your nuggets and then teach your team, teach the people around you, teach your family, teach your friends, and teach even your acquaintances. I look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Gerard. And thank you, Emma, for your sharing. We appreciate your time. And thank you, everybody who has participated this evening. We thank you next week when we come your way with another great leadership learning experience. This has been the Leadership Platform. And we want to thank God, the Almighty, for helping us through this evening. And I want to wish all of you a very, very good night. Sunday, tomorrow, let's all meet at church. Bye-bye and good night.
Good night.
There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Ayim, and I'm the host for the Leadership Platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks.
This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.